right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to the Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. I am Hawk. It is a gorgeous 51-degree morning. It actually got to the high 40s where I drive to at night, and not gonna lie, it was a little bit chilly, and it felt oh so gosh darn good. And hopefully your day is going well up to this point. And we're going to talk. We're going to talk a lot of different things today. We've got baseball, we got college football, we got NFL, and I want to open up with this. So my dad and I were sitting out on Sunday in the gorgeous weather. It came out of nowhere because Saturday was warm-ish, and then it really cooled off Saturday night into Sunday. So we were sitting out on the porch on Sunday just chatting. And he and I do this quite often. We go back to, and you see this on X, you see this on Facebook. If you could go back, what would you do? You got the one where it's, the two pills. This gives you this much money. This lets you go back 25 years with all the knowledge you have right now. And I was thinking about that in relation to one NFL team. If you could go back 40 years, what franchise, if you took over, do you believe you could get to the Super Bowl more often just by tweaking a few things they do? Think about that for a second. We had a lot of the contracts, and we'll get into that here in a second. We had the contracts finally get signed by a couple players. But I want to go back to 1985. That year, 40 years ago, with the Cincinnati Bengals. I want you to think about this. In 1988 is the year that they lost the Super Bowl. In 1990, they lost the division series. In 91, all the way up until 2004, so from 1991 up till 2004, they did not have a winning season. Up till 2005. 2004, they were 8-8. They did not have a winning season. 2005, they lost in the wild card. 2009, they lost the wild card. 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. They lost in the wild card in each and every year. Now, you may be wondering, how? They had some really good players. But what have we seen over the last couple of years, especially since Joe Burrow? It's really come to light how cheap the owner is. When you're building a house, you can tell whether or not they skimped on the product and the supplies, if they skimped on the exterior of the house relatively quickly, if they used a lower grade drywall, if they used not treated lumber for the studs. You can tell in the floor if they used the cheap plywood or the good plywood, if it's already creaking after 3 years of walking on it. The money you put into something will yield the return and will yield also the longevity of that product. The Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Brown, has not put money into this team. In the last 40 years, outside of 2021 and 2022, since the time they made the Super Bowl with Boomer Esiason, Ickey Woods, from 1988 till now, they made the division series one time and they lost the wild card. All the rest. Those teams had Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson. They had Rudy Johnson, the running back. They had Mixon with Burrow for years. They had Corey Dillon with John Kitna. The team had players, but they wouldn't spend money. The long-term success of the Cincinnati Bengals will depend on if Mike Brown continues what he has done this offseason. Spend the money. Your fans deserve it. They've been there through all of this. You had a 14-year stretch where you were garbage, didn't make the playoffs. They're still there. You made the playoffs, never got past the wild card. They're still there. You let Palmer go. You got Dalton in. Not a bad move. Not a bad move at all. You got AJ Green. Really good move. But you didn't spend enough money to make the rest of the team, the support wasn't good enough. You didn't spend the money on the studs to make sure the drywall didn't fall off. And since the drywall is probably going to fall off, the picture you put on the wall to try to make it pretty, that nail's sliding right out of that drywall because it's cheap too. You have to spend money to be able to have a longevity product. And the Bengals have not done that. I want to give, with all that said, he spent money this offseason. Chase, Higgins. Remember, they had to sell out the stadium name to pay Joe Burrow the signing bonus. You know, when something becomes, and we see this a lot, unfortunately, it's not that I like this, but you see this a lot. Somebody gets in over their skis. They can't afford the car they are driving. They got to give it back. Giving it back, selling it, doesn't hurt them as much as trying to hold on till the very last second. Being an NFL owner, you are one of 31. It is an elite, very, very minute group of people in this country. But you have to have the awareness when you are hurting your business. Al Davis ran the Raiders into the ground. His son, to his immense credit, has done a good job of just trying to tread through the sludge and the muck that was left for him. And the Raiders now look like they may be able to move forward. The Dallas Cowboys are headed in the same direction. The Cincinnati Bengals had been, remember, keep in mind, 2020 they were 4-11. 2019, before Burrow, they were 2-14. They were 6-10 in 2018. The last 2 years, they've been 9-8 and missed the playoffs. Missed the playoffs. So, to his credit, he spent money this offseason. Which leads me into the number one story we're going to do for today. Henderson McLaurin, and um, and then Myers asked for a trade. Henderson and McLaurin get paid. So what does that look like for Henderson, Hendrickson, and McLaurin? Sorry, supposed to be Hendrickson. Hendrickson gets a bump to $30 million. Here's the interesting thing. Here is the really interesting thing. He's still a restricted free agent after this season. He is still a restricted free agent after this year, which to me gives him the ability to sign a 2-year deal in the offseason, probably for $35-40 million. I don't think he'll get the $30 million as far as long-term now because he'll be 31. But he can then go sign a 2-year, $20-25 million a year deal with a contender. So good for Trey. Great for Trey. Great for Trey. The Bengals needed to do this. Without this, I had them missing the playoffs. I'm not kidding you. In my predictions, which are tomorrow for the NFL season, without this, I had them missing the playoffs again. And on top of that, I had them only winning 7 games because there was no defense. None. You can't win in the NFL with no defense. You can't do it. It's not possible. You can't outscore everybody. The Colts prove this. We've seen this movie before. You can't outscore everyone. It's definitely not a way to win championships. So this was huge. I think the Bengals can make the playoffs now. I absolutely believe it's going to be an uphill battle. Their defense still isn't great. Shamar Stewart and Hendrickson are going to have to really dominate. Absolutely dominate. There's no doubt about that. But it's a step in the right direction. Now, the other one. We also have McLaurin. Now, this deal has not been fully sent out yet because it hasn't been filed with the league. They basically agreed in principle. It's a 3-year deal worth up to $96 million. It has a $30 million signing bonus is included. And I'm wondering where the guaranteed money is at. What's the guaranteed money? What does the 3rd year look like? Stuff like that. That's what I'm wondering. But let's go off of that for a second. Let's go to what this means for the Commanders. Really simply, they have their full offense. Every piece of the offense that they need is now on the field. And yes, it's in plenty of time. Yes, McLaurin will be fine for the game 1 against Giants. They're going to be doing razzle-dazzle plays with Deebo Samuel anyway. Deebo Samuel, Rodriguez, McNichols, Kroski. They got Cliff Kingsbury's going to have fun week 1 against the Giants. So McLaurin's going to have a little bit of time to be able to work into things. He'll have they got all this week, they got all next week, and then he'll have the practice after that. He's got 3 weeks before a game that he's really going to have to be overly involved with. He should be paid. And it's a good thing that he was. The Commanders needed him. If not getting him, making a trade that got them a receiver that could be decent. But Deebo Samuel's value would have dropped if he had to go to number 1. Because he is a gadget guy and Cliff Kingsbury wants to use him as such. So, good for him. And good for the Commanders. Now, Jakobi Meyers. I'm sorry. This one absolutely confuses me. I don't get this one. So, in the same day, the Raiders signed Amari Cooper. They signed Amari Cooper, and also Jacoby Myers requests a trade. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make this stuff up. With Jacoby Myers requesting a trade, this it's not good. It's not good. And it's not good for Myers. And here's why. He hasn't been productive enough. When you look at his last few years, he's got 4 years in the last 6 where he's got over 800 receiving yards. Not that he's bad. Don't get me wrong, not that he's bad. But he doesn't have the numbers to support trying to get a bigger contract. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I don't know what the play is here. Are you thinking that because you have Geno Smith, you're already going to be better? Is that what we're looking at here? So the way that he's worked this, it's right before the season. It's really a bad look. It is really a bad look. And it says he requested a trade after contract negotiations stalled. Okay, so they don't want to pay you what you think you're worth. Receivers really are divas. Receivers drive me up the wall. Really do. And I don't think the Raiders are going to trade him. They may. They may. I don't think the Raiders are going to trade him. They shouldn't. He doesn't have that much value. He's not a speed guy. He's a possession guy. And he's good at catching. He's a lot like Adam Thielen. Okay? Why would you trade for him unless you're just that thin at wide receiver? I don't get it. This doesn't help him at all. I don't see it helping him. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I don't like the requesting the trade literally a week and a half before the season. It's a really, really unwise move. A very unwise move. Maybe the contract will get worked out. Maybe he just wants a $5 million bump. I'm not sure. But I'm definitely not on the player's side when it comes to this. You did it too late. Parsons, Hendrickson, McLaurin, they did it early. They gave the team a chance to be able to do everything. They've been working through contract stuff, and now all of a sudden it just hasn't gotten to where you want it before the season. So, I'm going to request a trade. Come on. Give me a break. Wide receivers are so much diva, it's not even funny. But here's the thing. They could just let Myers sit because they signed Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, Jack Beck, Thornton would absolutely be the slot guy now. And that would really be where you're at. So, correct. It could end in Myers just getting released. Not traded, just released. Which he may prefer anyway. Or they just keep him and be like, that's fine. We'll just charge you back the money. We don't have to worry about it if you don't play. Could absolutely do that as well. 100%. So I'm not sure how this is going to end. All right. The next story. So last night had a couple of big games. And we're going to go over the first one here. The Dodgers blank the Cincinnati Reds with an outstanding pitching performance from Sheehan. And by outstanding, I mean he allowed 2 hits in 7 innings pitched with 10 strikeouts and 1 walk. The Reds had 0 runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors on the night. The Dodgers had 7 runs on 9 hits with 1 error. And Hunter Green, who came back, his opening game was a masterful pitching performance. Kind of came back down to earth. Mookie Betts and Pages both homered. And then you had RBIs by, let's see, where did it go? No, you had runs scored. Runs scored on errors. So you had Dela Cruz had a fielding error, and then Austin Hayes had an error in the field, and that allowed multiple runs to score. And that was basically it. And it was a beautiful pitching game. Beautiful. Sheehan threw 96 pitches, 67 strikes. His ERA on the season is 3.56. First pitch strikes, Sheehan had 18 of 25. 18 of 25. He had 3 ground balls and 9 fly balls. Not bad. Not bad. And this was a big game. The Reds are fighting for playoff positioning. The Dodgers have Kershaw on the mound tonight. We'll go over that here in a second. But this was a big game because the Dodgers are playing the Reds. The Padres are playing the Mariners. The Mariners got the W last night over the Padres. This series is really, really big. The playoffs are coming down. We're at the end of August, heading into September. The playoffs are sitting right around the corner, and you've got to get things in a row before the September call-ups, where you get those 2 additional roster spots to call people up from the minors. The Dodgers need to hit their stride, and they need to hit their stride now. They're not even, I don't see them. They can't get to 100 wins. I don't think that's possible. They may be able to get to 90, 93, but they're going to have to get a little bit more consistent. Now, the other game, though, the big game, the Mets bats came alive in New York last night, and they absolutely torched the Philadelphia Phillies 13-3. The New York Mets in the 4th inning scored 3 runs. 5th, they scored 1 run. They got 2 runs in the 6th, 4 runs in the 7th, and 3 runs in the 8th. In the 9th inning, they didn't even need to bat because they had roasted the Phillies. They got 13 runs on 14 hits. Think about that. 13 runs on 14 hits. They had 6 walks. Pretty big. This is a huge, huge series for the New York Mets. Through the rest of this year, they have one more 4-game series in September. Starting the 8th of September, they have a 4-game series. That 4-game series is in Philadelphia. Now, on the season, the Mets lead the series 5-2. So give the Mets credit where credit is due. They are currently leading the season series. They've got the game tonight and they got the game tomorrow. If they can pull those out, they will absolutely be within striking distance of the Philadelphia Phillies for the division lead. The 4-game series in September will matter a lot. It could be what decides the season series. It could be what decides how the playoff standings will roll around and who's going to win this division. The really cool thing is It was the catcher. It was Torrens that had 3 hits in 5 at-bats with 5 RBIs. He had a home run. Marte got an RBI. Vientos had an RBI. Nimmo, Taylor, and McNeil all got RBIs. It was a great day at the bottom of the batting order for the New York Mets. Soto had a hit. Lindor went 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts. Everybody else scores. Everybody else gets a hit except Francisco Lindor. Come on, dude. Come on, man. Get with the program. Get in the action. We'll see what happens tonight. But this series is absolutely important. This has playoff implications, division championship implications all over it. All over it. The Phillies had 3 runs on 6 hits, but they also committed 2 errors. Like I said, they gave up 6 walks, and they threw 170 pitches, only 98 strikes. 170 pitches, 98 strikes. Not a good strike-to-ball ratio right there, folks. Definitely not what you want. Carlos Sanchez got rocked. His ERA jumps to 2.66 on the season. He did let up 8 hits and 5 earned runs. Senga on the other side, he pitched a lot of pitches early on. His ERA jumps to 2.73 after allowing 3 runs on 6 hits with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. He got a no decision. Castillo ended up getting the victory when he came in and pitched in relief in the 5th. So it is very interesting right now watching how the season plays out with some of the teams. Like the Yankees yesterday, and let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's go ahead and take that off there. And let's go ahead and do our 10,000-foot view of sports. So what's going around the rest of the sports world? And we're even going to have some NASCAR today. So in other news, you had the Boston Red Sox beating the Orioles 4-3. The Marlins knocked off the Braves 2-1. The Tampa Bay Rays, the Guardians are slipping. They were shut out again. Tampa Bay Rays absolutely knocked around Tanner Bibby. 9 runs on 14 hits. The Guardians only mustered 2 hits. The Guardians are slipping. Their chances of the playoffs and the wild card are disappearing rather quickly. The Tampa Bay Rays, who I thought were going to be out of it, are now sitting right there. If they can sweep the Guardians, they'll be sitting right behind the Royals for a spot in the wild card. It's rather impressive, especially with the moves that the Braves made at the deadline. We already said the Yankees beat the Nationals 10-5. The Blue Jays knock off the Twins 10-4. Brewers and Diamondbacks. Big game, big series for the Diamondbacks. They cannot. They got to show fight. They sold off everybody. We know that. The Brewers are fighting for winning the NL Central. Well, they got it done last night. The Brewers won 7-5 on 10 hits. Woodruff gets the W. Rodriguez takes the loss for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Royals get blanked by the White Sox. Absolutely blanked. Again, the Royals and Guardians, I cannot figure out these two teams. I cannot figure out these two teams. The Royals had 2 hits. Just like the Guardians, 2 hits, no runs. The White Sox, 7 runs on 11 hits. Good game for the White Sox. The White Sox are not a bad team. They are not a bad team at all. The Pirates and Cardinals. This game finished rather well. This was a big Alec Burleson game-winning solo home run in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs. with 2 outs, what we all dream of, with 2 outs, Alec Burleson hits the home run, gives the St. Louis Cardinals the victory last night, 7-6. Looking elsewhere, we had the Angels blank the Rangers. Jacob deGrom still winless this month. Jose Soriano pitched an absolutely fantastic game for the Angels, and the Rangers' hopes of the playoffs are still teetering. They are still teetering. Jacob deGrom is 10-6 with a 2.79 ERA. The Rangers' bats have been struggling, kind of like the Mets have, but last night the Mets' bats scored and the Rangers' bats did not. The Angels blank and shut them out. The Mariners and Padres, I've been looking forward to this series. 9-6. Mariners get the W. 9 runs on 10 hits with an error for the Mariners and 6 runs on 10 hits for the Padres. The Athletics, who some of you have laughed at me for saying they're not that bad, they won again. And they beat the Detroit Tigers. They they hit Tarek Skubal, who is 11-4 with a 2.28 ERA. They 7th inning, they scored 5 runs. Bottom of the 7th, they scored. It was beautiful. So you're looking at the 7th. Thomas hits a home run. And then you had a grand slam by Shea Langeliers. Ernest scored, Soderstrom, Harris, a grand slam, which gave them the lead 6-3 in the 7th. The 8th inning, Kurtz then homered that brought home Butler, and that is how you get to 8-3. The Athletics are not a bad team. They are not a bad team at all. Tarek Skubal had 12 strikeouts. 7 hits, 1 earned run through 6 2/3. His ERA is now at 2.28. And in the last game of the night, when you go down to it, give me just 1 second. Computer's being slow. And in the last game of the night, obviously we already went over the Dodgers knocking off the Reds. All right, let's go to NASCAR for a second. And you may be wondering, why? I had this question posed to me. Here's why. Here's why. You have an industry, and this is going to be more nostalgia, and I understand that, okay? You have a sport that relies on not necessarily a bunch of money, but it relies on a lot of moving parts being cohesive. And the series has lost the cohesiveness. I have gone to the Brickyard the last 2 years. I remember what the Brickyard was when I was growing up. I remember the stands actually being full. I remember the racing being good. And then I remember very vividly the Brickyard 400 race where they were worried that the tires would not even last 10 laps. That garbage Goodyear tire. Because of that, and I think a lot of other instances in that case, the money left from racing when they changed everything around, they made this NASCAR Chase, which is, I believe the Chase is good. It's like a playoff. It is a playoff. That I do not have an issue with. The playoff I thought was really good because you have an expanded field that can go get the win. I've always loved it. We have it in football. We have it in basketball. We have it in baseball. If you don't like the playoff setup, I don't know what to tell you. It's in every other sport. That wasn't what killed it. I believe the stages have really hurt it because it's no longer straight racing. Stages have really hurt NASCAR. Because now you've got the brakes. And you got these automatic cautions. And it takes away the strategy that we all used to love and we used to anticipate with 2 tires, 4 tires, fuel only. Is rain coming? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Trying to play the odds, betting on the odds. I love NASCAR, but there is a lot of controversy around it right now. And I don't believe the sport is in a position to really make it through it. To be brutally honest, I don't feel between the scandal, the doping issue, between the issue with Michael Jordan right now, you've got just too much garbage and not enough of the fun, not enough big drivers. Kyle Busch, spoke out. Brad Keselowski, called out NASCAR, and I understand NASCAR if, lightning's in the area, somebody gets struck, blah, blah, blah. But, it ended up, the Daytona race ended up not getting watched by as many people because of when they moved it to instead of when it was scheduled. And they're losing money, and they're losing money rapidly. I remember when it was a 43-team field, and you had 7 guys that didn't even make the field, that didn't qualify. You don't have that now. You got 39, 38, 37. What are we going to get down to? And yes, I understand. Of those 43, you were only watching, the top 25. You always had your back dwellers that had an average finish of 31st, 35th, whatever it was. I get that. But they were racing. Talladega, we had 43 cars. Daytona, we had 43 cars racing around the track. You don't have that anymore. You don't have the same emotion, the adrenaline. The series has lost so much. And it is a cautionary tale. When something isn't broken, don't mess with it. Drivers and fans are calling this car, the next-gen car, the same as the car of tomorrow, which to me really, really hurt the sport. Because then only basically rodeo drivers could control those cars because they were so slick, there was no downforce on the back of that car. Don't mess with something that's not broken. NASCAR's demise is NASCAR's fault. And I hate that that's the case. I absolutely hate that that's the case. All right. WNBA. Last night, the New York Liberty pulled out a squeaker over the Connecticut Sun with a 81-79 victory. 81-79 victory. New York Liberty are now 23-15 on the year. The Sun are 9-28. In the other game, the Chicago Sky at home against the Las Vegas Aces got the loss. The Sky lost 79-74. They are now 9-28 on the year as well. Well, Las Vegas is now 25-14. Jackie Young had 22 points, 7 assists, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. Great night for Jackie Young. Angel Reese had 10 points, 17 rebounds. Camila Cardoso had 19 points and 10 rebounds. So big night for both of them. All right. Let's get into some of the other NFL news, general news. Kenny Pickett was traded from the Browns. They no longer have 4 QBs. They now have 3. Kenny Pickett was traded to the Raiders for a pick in 2026. Why? Aiden O'Connell, like I told you, yesterday has the right wrist injury that he's going to be out for 8 weeks. So they needed a backup for Geno Smith now. They gave up a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett. Many of us called this. Many of us said they were going to trade Pickett out. They get a 5th-round pick for him. Beautifully done. Perfect business by the Browns in this instance. Now, here's the other thing. We got all the cuts taking place. The Texans, Joe Mixon is officially out for the first 4 games of the season. He'll remain on the PUP list. Hopefully he can come back pretty quick. The Giants are down to 3 quarterbacks. They have cut Tommy DeVito. The rosters have to be cut to 53 people by today. By 4 o'clock today, the rosters have to be trimmed down to 53 players. The Detroit Lions cut Hendon Hooker. Kyle Allen has officially won this backup quarterback job with the Lions. Now, something we didn't necessarily go over. So I wanted to pull this out because we didn't really talk about Parsons. I don't know what's going to happen with Parsons. I have had different views. I have had different thoughts about how this is going to play out. I absolutely have. I have had different inclinations based off of what has been said, written, and the overall body language of the entire scenario right now. I'm not willing to put any money on any of this. I think this is the most unpredictable I have ever seen a situation. I don't know if Micah Parsons wants to be a Cowboy. And Jerry Jones kind of admitting that he broke rules with Parsons makes this even more puzzling. I don't understand this. The Cowboys are a huge brand. Jerry Jones deserves all the credit for what he has been able to do. But really? You're potentially going to destroy your team over this? You waited so long for Dak. You waited so long for CeeDee Lamb. You waited so long now with Micah Parsons. You waited hoping that Mike McCarthy would be sitting there like a beggar at the end of King Jerry's table going, oh, please let me be the coach of the Cowboys. He didn't, and you got stuck with Brian Schottenheimer. If you want to see somebody who really, really doesn't have a purpose in life, look at how they act and look at who they do, who they set up in their life. Jerry Jones loves to be the one that gets the attention, the center, the star, and he admitted stirring up controversy, make sure that you're talked about. Oh my goodness. How much do you want to put people through? And we're not going to bring, moral standards. We're not going to bring that in. As a human being, how much do you want to put other human beings through? Just as a human being. Do you want to make their life harder? Or do you want to make their life easier? We all have jobs where we go to work. Certain things make it harder. Certain things make it easier. If the company is consistently taking away the things that make it easier and giving us the things that make it harder, we're not staying, first of all, but second of all, that company is not going to last very long. Doing things the hard way is not a successful business model. Jerry Jones has done every contract negotiation the hard way, and he's cost himself a lot of money. His son will have to make up for his failures and his shortcomings as owner of the Dallas Cowboys when he gets the team. Thankfully, Steven is involved in the team as much as he is. It will not be a shock for him. But this is a cautionary tale of waiting till the last second. I've done this now with my kids, my high schooler and my middle schooler, and procrastination with homework. We've all done it. We've all done it. I know. But you don't want to get into that mode. You don't want to get into that habit. Because creating that habit of constant procrastination through 4 years of high school is not going to help you afterwards. You got to be proactive, not reactive. Those who are ahead of the ball don't get run over by it. And you really, really, really got to look at where the Cowboys could be in a couple years. I put in some predictions this morning. We'll go over them tomorrow. The Dallas Cowboys is a cautionary tale of procrastination. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, I want to close out, and we're going to close it out this way. I said this week I would do one prediction a week or a day with college football. So today we are going to do my prediction for, yesterday we did Clemson, the ACC winner. Today we are going to do my prediction of the Big 12. My prediction for winner of the Big 12 going to the championship game is the Utah Utes. Yes, the Utah Utes. And you may be asking why. Why Utah? Well, here's why. I'll put it straight for you. Here is their schedule this year. They open up on the road against UCLA on Saturday night. On Fox, I will be watching that game. Absolutely watching that game. Then they have Cal Poly and Wyoming. Those are your first 3 games. Their first Big 12 matchup is at home against Texas Tech. They're at West Virginia, home against Arizona State. At BYU in the absolute rivalry game. Home against Colorado and Cincinnati. At Baylor, which I believe is actually going to be the toughest game of the year. Home against Kansas State and at Kansas to close out the year. Why do I believe Utah will win the Big 12? Because a lot of the games are at home. You get Texas Tech, Arizona State, Kansas State, all at home. BYU is in a rebuilding year. Okay? They will not be the same BYU of last year. Do I think they're going to drop off a cliff? Heck no. The over-under for the worst team in the Big 12 is still 5.5 wins. It's like everybody's technically going to be bowl eligible as far as what Vegas thinks. This conference very easily could eat itself alive. Very easily. Texas Tech, I think, is going to be one of those scrappy teams. On the road, I think they're going to be a lot easier to beat than at home. Arizona State, I believe Arizona State lost too much in the draft to play at that high, that 10-2, 9-3 level. I think they'll go 8-4. I don't think they're the 9-3, 10-2 level. Kansas State. I originally said Kansas State would play them in the Big 12 championship game. That was my original idea. And after watching the game against Iowa State, I'm not so sure. I don't know if their secondary can hold up against these passing attacks. That secondary, it really, really bugged me. I'm the coach sitting in my wonderful couch, just going, turn your head. Turn your head. Get your eyes on the ball. That's all I was saying all game against Iowa State. The secondary just wouldn't turn their head. Find the football. You could knock it down. It went right above a guy's helmet on 3 passes. Right over his helmet. He turns around, puts his hands like this. He gets the ball. I don't trust the secondary. And in the Big 12, you better have a gosh darn secondary because you've got some really good passing teams. Utah's toughest test, I do believe, will be the road game against Baylor and then to close out the year in Kansas. But Utah is my pick to win the Big 12 championship this year. Winningham, I believe this is going to be his last year coaching, which is very unfortunate. I love how he coaches. He is a great leader. He has done miraculous things in Utah. It's Utah, guys. Come on. This is Utah. And he has built a perennial contending program in Utah that is respected across the league. And you're playing in Utah. Really impressive. I love Kyle Whittingham. Amazing coach. And I really, really, really am rooting for the Utes this year. I don't know who they're going to face in the Big 12 championship game. I don't, because everybody else in that league, if the Utes go, let's just say they go 10-2, everybody else could go 9-3. I have no clue. There could be 3 teams that go 9-3. Remember, last year in the Big 12, we had a 4-way tie. It all came down to tiebreakers. So the easiest way to win the Big 12, or even get to the championship game, win it in the regular season so you put yourself there automatically. Because, boy, those tiebreakers got confusing. And it is a great conference. I have said this, and I will stand on this. The Big 12, from top to bottom, has the best football matchups through the year because the teams are so evenly matched. No, there's not an Ohio State, a Georgia, a Texas in this conference. I don't care. I want good football. I want what we saw Saturday, 24-21. In a big game, conference game between 2 ranked opponents. That's what I want. I want good football. I'd rather watch a 24-21 Iowa State-Kansas State battle than a 45-3 thrashing of Ohio State over Miami of Ohio. Give me good football. And the Big 12, for everything else that they don't do, because they don't have the big brands anymore, they give you good football. They are a great watch. And I think some of them could surprise some teams this year. Cincinnati and Nebraska on FanDuel, there is actually a special bet you can get. Cincinnati is the underdog right now. Nebraska is the favorite. Cincinnati's home. It's a Big 12 team against a Big 10 team. And I really hope as we continue to grow the NIL, as we continue to grow the revenue sharing, that the matchups every year will start pitting conference versus conference. The Big 12 can grow. They're looking at adding some more teams. I think Memphis could easily end up being one of them. They've said no. I think they could be one of them. And there could be a couple other teams from the American that may move to the Big 12. If we can get all these conferences to the same size, and we can actually have a schedule where every year this conference plays this conference plays this conference, and of the Power 4, you play 2. So there's one conference every year that you don't play. So 2 of your 3 non-conference games are decided because everything's already set. I would love to get to that point in college football. I don't know if we're going to. I think it's going to end up being the AFL anyway, the Amateur Football League. That's where we're heading. I fully believe in 5 to 10 years that will be where we are at. You just can't call it college football anymore. These kids aren't going to college. It's fake. We know this. Most of the schooling is fake. Everything, and I'm seeing this even in high school now with my oldest. It's not what we did 20 years ago. It's just not. There's not nearly as much homework. Everything's in class. It's all on a tablet or a computer. Everything's streamlined. It's so simple. But you're practicing 4 or 5 hours a day for football. You're traveling across the country on Fridays or Thursdays now. Just give me a break. It's not full-fledged college anymore. Just stop it. It's not what it is. But I tell you what, it is really good football in the Big 12. And I absolutely love it. All right. What is on tap for tomorrow? What is on tap for tomorrow? Let's close this thing out. So what is on the horizon for tomorrow? Well, really simply. Tomorrow, NFL predictions. I will have the full schedule. Every team's record will be done tomorrow. Tomorrow's podcast will primarily be my prediction podcast for the NFL season. That will be tomorrow. Every team's record for the regular season. Thursday will be the day where I give you my playoff matchups and my Super Bowl winner. So the next 2 days will be prediction days. Also on Thursday, I will give you a little bit more of my college football playoff predictions. And then on Friday, we'll get into some fantasy football stuff. Yes, because I have 15 leagues of fantasy football. I am a huge fantasy football player. And I'm sorry if it's not necessarily your thing. It's going to be a huge thing on this podcast. We're actually going to be following a brand new league that I started this year, week by week through the season. On Thursdays, actually, before we get to the Thursday night football games, we'll go over the previous week and what it looks like. We're going to be following one of the leagues all the way through the year. Man, it's been a good day. The weather is nice and cool. Again, I'm going to go outside, do a little bit of stuff outside, and then I'll go to bed to be able to go to work tonight. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you so much. It's been an absolutely great hour. Off for 23, and we'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Please make sure to subscribe and like the channel. It really does help me out as we start this endeavor to grow the channel up. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic day and make it the best day that you can. Until tomorrow, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have a great day, guys.